Hello everybody and welcome back to another building video. It's wonderful to see a bunch of new people here, so welcome if you are new here. Today we've got a build that I've been kind of working on for a very long time, and I had an idea, which was a castle ruin idea, and in looking for concept art and different photos just to inspire me, I came across a lot of ones that had a very cool floral overgrown vine kind of idea, like this. I'll pop some images on the screen. And yeah, I really liked that idea, but I knew it was going to be really hard in Minecraft because we don't really have many floral blocks. However, recently I have discovered the no block updates, so this is a build that is exclusively creative. I am sorry. I mean, if you wanted to do it without the vine looking stuff, the florally thing, it can be survival, but otherwise it's exclusively creative with no block updates because it involves some floating flowers. Now, this whole thing did cause me some issues, and I've been actually working on it for a very long time because I wanted to perfect it, but I do love the final result, and without further ado, let's cue the time lapse. You can see what I struggled with, and I'll also explain it at the end. So, let's go. So here is our final build. As you can see, not survival friendly because we have a bunch of these floating flowers. Now, I wanted to get that idea of the florally vine, but again, there's really not that many floral vine type things that I could use. But this worked really perfectly with Axiom's help, of course. We also have a few different things for Overgrown that you can't get in a survival world, which is of course the drip leaf, but just the stem, which I think makes a really nice vine. I actually got this vine idea from the mango, watching his stuff, and it's same with the sunflowers here. So these are just the stem of the sunflower, but I think it makes a really cool, like, vine idea. And weirdly, I don't actually have any vines, but, you know, they work perfectly. So in the last section of the time lapse, I was able to add some of these. So they are the eye blossoms from the new 1.21.4, because I actually have been working this build for so long that I started it in 1.21 and then moved on to 1.21.4 for the end of it. So I was able to add a few things, including changing the deep slate to the pale oak wood, which I think works really well for shadows. Because before we had deep slate, but it was just such a harsh jump from tough to deep slate. But the pale oak, or the pale oak, yeah, the pale oak wood makes a really cool like extra shadow design, which I really like. Now we have some diorite stuff and mushroom stems, which I kind of wanted to show it almost as like stone chipping or paint chipping. I mean, it's not really painted because it's all stone, but if you think about it, when stone chips, it's usually got like a white underbelly, and a bunch of the inspired pics that I was using had that same idea. So I also followed it. Now, I won't ignore the elephant in the room for too much. The background, it's a bit of a strange background because it only goes so far, but lately I've loved to do my builds with backgrounds. Now this looks better with borderless glass, I realise now, because I've turned off the resource pack. So maybe I'll switch that on really quick. Ah yes, much better. So it's a lot more smooth now. And yeah, we've got the lovely cloud background. Actually, I love these 2D clouds. It's been a while since I've done clouds, and I've only really done 3D ones, so I wanted to try some 2D clouds to have in this background. It doesn't necessarily fit the build's vibe as much, or it just changes the vibe. So this is kind of very realistic is what I was going for, and the background kind of has a cartoonish idea because of the way the clouds are made. But I still love it, and I definitely want to use these cloud designs more. Now, it wasn't in the time lapse because this was just an experimenting type thing, which ended up turning really, really well. So I wasn't able to include it, but lovely. I love it. Looks really cool. So yeah, back to the main build. We haven't really got an interior because, again, this is meant to be a castle ruin, so I didn't want to put anything too much. However, I could have maybe put like a table or something here. I did make this grand staircase, which I think looks really cool. It's very all over the shop in terms of how I built it because I wanted it to look a bit collapsed or just dilapidated, just not very safe to use if you came across it, but it looks really cool. And I also love how different the steps are, and it goes in this really cool spirally pattern that's not perfect, which I did because I wanted the architecture to be a bit more early, and because of that it wouldn't be as perfect. So yeah, we can go up here, and there's not much up here, but I wanted to make sure it was completely overgrown. So nature has gotten towards this and has grown a bunch of moss and overgrown stuff. We've got vines everywhere, even on the balcony over here, just some overgrown stuff. Over here it's built up a whole bunch, and you can still look out and see everything, which in this world unfortunately is absolutely nothing, except for my cool house. But the whole area is overgrown. You kind of have this weird section here, because I originally built this build as a front-facing screenshot, which it kind of still is, because I have not done the back. But, oh, I've actually got a window, that counts. But the sole reason I didn't do the back is because of the background. The background is like meant to be the back. You're not really going to come in and view it from behind, because this background is part of the build. But I did do the sides, so I think that's something to be accounted for. The sides are done. As you can see, we've got some shadowing here with the balcony and this little circle thing. Anyway, it looks cool. So yeah, it was meant to be a front-facing build to begin with. So I had this green part because I wanted it to be overgrown right there. I wanted the green to balance out with the bottom here. And then when I did a bit of the interior, I was like, I need something to make sense. So of course this whole area is completely collapsed, it's overgrown. We don't really know what happened. It's got a cool story behind it. But you can access the section here, which I built a bunch of walls around the green moss. So it looks like it could have been a room, or maybe there was a big tower up here, which could have been cool. But of course that was completely exploded or destroyed. We don't know. Now I did add some glass here, and that was only to darken the area, because when I didn't have it dark before, it all shone through and it looked a bit strange. So in the beginning of the time lapse, probably saw I just had terracotta here to kind of black out the windows and the doors. and that was again because it was only meant to be a front-facing build, but then I did the interior, so we changed that. I did add some brown glass to... oh, that doesn't make sense. Some brown glass to make it look like it was broken or burnt. It gives a little bit more texture towards it, which I think is pretty cool. Now again, we've got the big vine continuing down here, and this was my favorite part of the build, and it was the reason I built it. I did want to experiment with trying the no block updates, which will make sure I still have on. I do, because one of the main struggles of this build was the fact that I kept forgetting to turn no block updates on, and I would place a single flower and everything would fall. I did this right near the end when I added the eye blossoms, and all of it, because it's all connected up here and all the way down here, and I placed a single flower and it just popped and everything fell down. It was not fun, and it happened quite a few times, but we got it finished in the end, which is perfect. And I do love the result. So when I originally did this, I only did one layer of flowers, but you could kind of see how Minecraft had the blocky pattern. But when I added a second layer, if you look at it from like this angle, for example, it stops that blockiness. It messes everything around a whole lot more, which is perfect. It makes it look a lot more full and flowery. Again, I've made the interior to be walked through, but it doesn't really make sense if you're looking under and you see a bunch of floating flowers. But again, you also don't fully notice it, which is pretty cool because of how Minecraft's flowers are. So if you're looking below, they're kind of invisible, which sucks most of the time, but in this case, it actually works pretty well. Now, yeah, the interior, nothing special. We've got a few sections where I put some glow lichen and this really cool pale moss hanging stuff, which just looks like old dusty cobwebs. Very perfect. Can't wait to use them some more. And yeah, some vines, some glow lichen, nothing special. But this build took a very long time, surprisingly, even though it's so small. But I think it looks really cool, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I want to do some more strange castle ruins, or just trying out some Minecraft tips and tricks that I haven't played with before, because I enjoyed playing with the flowers, the floating stuff so much with this. So I want to do some more things like that. But anyway, that's about all for the build, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. I've got a whole bunch of videos coming up soon. I've been a little bit bad with my scheduling lately, so I apologize for that. But I promise there's some big things coming up soon. This build was just one that I've been meaning to get out for a very, very long time. So it's finally here, which is great, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Hope you guys are too. If you have any ideas for me to try and build, some strange concepts that you'd like to try and see in Minecraft, leave a comment, let me know. I will see if I can do it, or do something like it. But that will be all, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!